No. Unlike the other Q&As, or not everybody counts. No, everybody always counts. Sorry. Anyways, I'm very proud to introduce one of the all-time great movie reviewers as well as movie enthusiasts out there, one of the greatest hosts of any movie show ever to appear on broadcast or cable, Mr. Joe Bob Briggs.
I guess this sounds like a pretty well-educated crowd, so I'll just assume I can skip over the preliminaries and say, you know, we're here at the convention this weekend to celebrate the 3 B's: blood, rest, and peace, right?
Yeah.
And tell me which direction you want to go here.
Well, I was going to say, if you want me to take a seat, you know, we can...
Okay, well, you should never sit in a comfy chair when you do an interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a rule of TV. Never give the guest a comfy chair.
See, I'm learning things already. So, well, you know, I don't know, I look into this audience, and the one question that I always ask myself, especially, is I wonder if this is a driving crowd, if these are driving people.
Oh, definitely. The crowd at this convention?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Are you kidding me?
Well, I saw one of your videos, and that was, when you came out on stage, that was the first thing you asked the crowd, and you had them go through a drive-in oath.
Yeah, but I can't remember the drive-in oath. And the last time I did the drive-in oath, there were children present, and some parents got mad at me, so we don't do the drive-in oath anymore. I have to write the drive-in oath specifically for that crowd.
Okay.
Actually, can I tell a story about that? We just did the 56th anniversary celebration of the Transit Drive-In in Lockport, New York, which is in suburban Buffalo, and there were 4,000 people there and 1,100 cars, and we did do a special drive-in oath for that event in Western New York. Because people always ask me, are there still drive-ins out there? Are there still drive-ins hanging on out there? I say, yeah, there were fucking 4,000 people at the Transit Drive-In in Lockport, New York last month.
Man, that's one of the things that I'm really sorry to see, like a lot of them have kind of started to disappear, you know. I know we still have a few here in Florida, but...
You got a great drive-in here in Florida. You got in Fort Lauderdale, you got the, well, they used to call it the swap shop. I'm not sure what they call it now.
It's still called the swap shop.
It's still called the swap shop drive-in. There's 24 screens, which is the biggest drive-in ever in the history of drive-ins. Florida historically was not exceptionally, there weren't a whole lot of drive-ins in Florida. Ironically, you would think there would be because it's so sunny. But there were always the land in Florida would become so valuable that the drive-ins would get bought up for real estate development. So there's very few places where you have land, that much land all in one piece, and so the Walmarts just gobbled it up.
That's too bad.
And golf courses, you're right.
Do you have a particular favorite drive-in, or?
Oh, I have a lot of favorite drive-ins. I mean, some of my favorite drive-ins are no longer around, like the Gemini Drive-In in Dallas, where we had the World Drive-In Movie Festival back in the 80s, and Stephen King came, and Roger Corman came, and stood up on top of the concession stand. That was one of the great drive-ins. That's the drive-in where they had the world premiere of 1 Million Years BC, and Raquel Welch was there. They had the premiere of True Grit, the original True Grit with John Wayne, and so that was a great drive-in. It's no longer with us. American Airlines bought it for an airport parking lot. So, yeah, so, but the Spud Drive-In in Idaho has a giant potato in front of it. Is one of the classic drive-ins.
I love how they used to put like gimmicks and stuff to them sometimes.
Yeah, they still do. Occasionally you'll find drive-ins that have pony rides and fireworks shows and miniature golf courses. That drive-in in the Transit Drive-In in Lockport had a miniature golf course. Yeah, anything to get people to see. The drive-ins have a problem, which is that they can only show. They only have one prime time of the day when they can show the movie, which is whenever it gets dark. And whereas the indoor theaters can show the movie 5 or 6 times. And so they would do all kinds of things to get you to show up at 4 in the afternoon. And so that could be, mini golf or they would do car washes, they would do any kind of circus acts.
Yeah. Yeah, or flea market. I've been to
flea markets. That's the best. Yeah, that's the best one. Actually, there are quite a few drive-ins now that are like flea markets by day, drive-in by night.
I wish Orlando had it. But does anybody out in, well, we've just been chatting away up here. Does anybody out there have any questions?
Hey, Joe Bob.
Hey.
I was wondering, can we expect another collection of essays like Profoundly Disturbing and Profoundly Erotic? I love those books. I was hoping you'd have some more writing coming out.
Well, yeah, I was planning to do another one in the prep. When I did the Profoundly, what he's referring to is a book I did a few years back called Profoundly Disturbing, Shocking Movies That Changed History. And I chose, originally we were going to do 50 of them actually, but I tend to write so long on each movie, because I go into like the intimate detail of every single historical fact about the movie, that we had to cut that down to 15. So there are actually 35 movies that are already pre-selected that I could go and give that treatment to. So I probably will do a sequel to Profoundly Disturbing because it's been a good seller and the publisher is happy with it. The publisher, oddly enough, is Rizzoli, which does like the Vatican's books. And so I'm a little off their normal list in terms of the kind of books they do books on like houses of Tuscany and how to redecorate them, and then they have my stuff.
Do we have, yes, right up front.
Yes, Joe Bob. Big fan of your commentaries. I have some favorites, like Samurai Cop is probably the funniest. Yes. And Hell's Angels 69, so historical, and I love that one. But I was wondering, what was one of your favorites, or maybe you got really excited for, like when you knew you were going to do the commentary on the movie, it was just, you were ready?
Well, the way I got into the DVD commentaries is that I got a call a few years back from the owner of Elite Entertainment, and he said, I spit on your grave. I bought all the rights to I spit on your grave. And I wondered if you'd like to do the commentary because the director says that you're the only person that's ever written a favorable review of this movie. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do the commentary. And in fact, I have a long-running feud with Roger Ebert about the movie because he attacked the movie in the 80s, in the 70s, and said it was like that movie was the best argument for censorship, and that it was a pro-rape movie, and then he went to some grindhouse in Chicago, and the people in the audience were yelling to rape the girl, and it was disturbing on many moral levels and everything. And of course, I always maintain that it was, if you know anything about the movie, Mayor Zarki, the director, had named it Day of the Woman. He thought it was a feminist movie. He thought it was an anti-rape movie. And it was inspired by his experience with a rape victim. And so I did the commentary track, and I said, I'm not, it's like, I Spit on Your Grave disturbs people on many different levels. And it tends to disturb men more than women, actually. Not just for the bathtub scene. Men have a problem with it more than women do. And I said, so So I don't know if I'll be able to do much comedy with it. As it turns out, I did a lot of comedy on that track, and you know, because it had some funny elements to it. So anyway, after I did that commentary, I got a lot of emails from people saying, "Hey, I love the commentary, but you know, there were these long sections of it where you weren't talking." Well, yeah, I mean, when the gang rape was actually happening, you know, it's like, I'm not going to like be cracking jokes about the, you know, the actual gang rape, you know, and so, and they were like, you know, we've already watched the movie, so we want to listen to the commentary, keep talking. And I realized that's what the form is. It's like, it's for people who have already seen the movie, but they want to watch it again with the commentary. And so all the other commentaries I did from then on are wall-to-wall talking. If you want to see the movie, you know, with the dialogue at at 5, you know, I'm at 10, the dialogue's at 5. So, so if you want to watch the movie, you know, turn off the commentary track. But with the commentary track on, I just did wall to wall, and I tried to hit every single, I tried to be talking about the history of the movie or some other element of the movie at the exact moment that you're seeing it on the screen. Because I thought, what a wonderful tool. It's never existed before in the history of the movie. You could always like write about the movie and assume people could remember it or assume people could see it in the future, or you could go to a film class and show a clip and then talk about it, or talk about it and then show a clip. But here's a great tool where you can actually be talking about the scene exactly at the moment that people are watching the scene. And I thought, what a wonderful thing, you know? It's like, and so I really worked hard on those to try to match the. And I mean, when you're working on Ray Dennis Steckler, you know, it's not much fun, you know. But I tried to match the commentary exactly to those moments.
I think that's like one of the best parts about DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff are those extras of the commentary.
Yeah, it's not really appreciated by Hollywood and the distributors and the people that put them out. Is that if they never really develop that very much, so they'll like get a famous person, like an actor or director or somebody, and just happen to sit there and watch the movie and occasionally grunt, and they'll call that a commentary track. You know, it's like they don't work as hard on the commentary tracks as they should.
I saw a question up here.
What was your favorite movie to host on Monster Vision?
Wow, favorite movie to host? By the way, I didn't answer your question. My favorite commentary track for a commentary track is Samurai Cop, the one that you like. My favorite, the best movie of all of those is probably either, not counting that Spit on Your Grave, is probably Hell High or Warlock Moon is pretty good. And Hell's Angel, I like Hell's Angel 69 just because it has a complete history of the biker film in the course of that commentary track. Okay. But my favorite movie that I hosted, I'm not, probably The Warriors, because it lent itself to comedy and explication, and it's kind of a weird cult movie. It's like it's one of those one-of-a-kind movies. I like movies that can't be remade because they're one of a kind, although I'm sure they'll remake it, you know. But so for those of you who didn't see it, we had a giant New York City subway map, and we showed exactly where the Warriors would get off the subway and which gangs lived in which neighborhoods and where they would fight and how they made themselves. It's based on Herodotus or something, like, you know, this when the Greek army